Hey guys, Timmy D with DroneMappingTools.com, your one source for drones, LiDAR, survey equipment, and all things mapping. Today, we are going to begin a series on the DJI L2. And you said, well, is the L2 new? No, it's not. It came out in 2023. There were supply chain issues in November and December. You couldn't get it. But starting in January and especially February, there's plenty of good stock on the L2. And so I am getting questions on a regular basis. People want to know, is this unit something that I could bring in to my business and do legit LiDAR? And so this series, I'm going to attempt to answer that for you. I mean, because, you know, if you can get a legit good LiDAR unit for a little over $12,000, that is an excellent deal. And so we have to put it to the test. All right, so before we even get started good, the question is, who is this video and video series for? It is for somebody who doesn't even have LiDAR and they're looking at the L2, they're considering it, and they want to know, is this a viable option for my business? Or you may have a primary LiDAR, maybe you've got the Recipe XT32 like I've got, and you're wondering, well, hey, we need a second unit. Will the L2 meet our needs? So if you're looking at the L2, whether it be your primary or secondary LiDAR unit, this series is hopefully going to provide all the information you need to make a good decision on that. We are going to cover just some stuff on LiDAR. I mean, hopefully you will take away, we're going to always do photogrammetry. I never do LiDAR without doing photogrammetry. Never. They go hand in hand. Some people don't, but I do. I always do photogrammetry. Now, one of the awesome things about this is that it's got the same camera as the Mavic 3E, so you're already getting very good photogrammetry right along with your LiDAR. If you don't even want to do LiDAR and all you want to do is photogrammetry, well, you can fly it and use it as a camera only, and you can do that too. That tells you who the video and the video series is for. Sure, you can probably watch this and learn something even if you're not in the market for an L2. In series number 1, or I should say in episode number 1, this is a easy peasy place to fly. Back to the west, behind the camera, we have the soccer field. Very well manicured, low cut grass. A slight ditch. Then we have this very large parking lot with tons of white striping. So that's going to help us validate the horizontal accuracy. On the other side of the road, we've got some very high grass, and just to the east of that is just very thick woods with a lot of leaf-on vegetation at the moment. So we're going to fly this thing, and we have a wide variety of ground cover. It's a relatively flat area, so not much in the way of terrain change. We do have some ditches, but again, the main purpose of episode number 1 is we're going to look at the horizontal accuracy of the point cloud. We're going to look at the vertical accuracy as well. We're going to look at the intensity view versus the RGB camera colorization view. So we're going to compare that. Is that good? Is the bore sight on that thing done well? So the two things that people want to know when they're looking at LiDAR is the overall quality. Well, let me put it this way. The two things you should be looking at is the quality of your classified point cloud deliverable, and then number 2 is the repeatability of that. And so, yes, we can get into stuff all day looking at the fuzz, I mean, there's different aspects of LiDAR systems, and this thing has a lot of options, But ultimately, what you really care about is the quality of the completed product, the classified completed product, after it's been cleaned up, outliers, all that stuff is taken out, because all LiDAR has noise, it's got outliers, it's got points you need to get rid of. I don't care if it's the L2 all the way up to the high-end units. You're going to have points in the point cloud that you don't need. So again, what we're looking at is the quality of the classified point cloud, the end result, and the repeatability of that. So we're gonna fly this thing multiple times. I'll come out, that's not gonna be a video each time, but I will come out and refly this on multiple occasions, because we wanna know that if I come out here and fly it 5 times and I process each data set, that each of those 5 data sets is gonna come in and be very, very tight to the one before it. Now, things are gonna change. We're gonna have different grass grow. You're gonna have some grass that's maybe now that a month from now, it may not even be there and something else is growing to take its place. But overall, in that field with thick weeds, it's just gonna be thick. The trees, not much is gonna change there, the parking lot. So really just your grassy terrains can change with the seasons, but I hope to come out and do this, say, over a month period, so there should be very little difference in the change of the tall grass back over here behind me to the east. We are going to go and do real world surveys with this. That is the one thing that I really, really want to bring to you guys. I'm going to go out, I'm going to fly fields, we're going to fly heavily wooded, leaf-on vegetation areas, and then we're going to go and where it's leaf-on trees, I'm going to take the robot and we're going to shoot as deep into the woods as we can shoot to validate the ground points, where they are, and what we're getting with this. We're going to go into fields. I'm going to go in and do now look, I'm not doing 10 acres of high grass, because that would mean for me to go in and walk and do a manual grid on that. Well, I'm 56 and I'm not going to do that much walking. So anyway, but I will go and do like a 1 acre, maybe 2 acres if I'm feeling good. But I'm going to fly it with this. Then we're going to take the robot. I'm going to go shoot topo in there. Then we're going to take the StoneX 900. I'll be running base rover, and we are going to grid that thing out. I'll probably do 5-foot centers, maybe 10 might be a little much, because I want to know how does this compare to me doing a 5-foot grid over the 1 acre. That's going to be a lot of walking, but for the sake of science and letting you guys know I'm going to do it, I'll get my steps in that day. So we've got a lot of good content coming. Let's jump into the video. We're going to go back into the office. We're going to do the processing, take a look at the data, and lay it all out. And then next week we'll come out and we'll do episode 2. So we are in DJI Terra, and I have started a new project for LiDAR. And so we're going to call this L2 episode 1. And we have today's date. So I'm going to click on OK. And the first thing we do is come up and we're going to add the folder that has the LiDAR data. And in this I've got everything broken down. I've got all the video and stuff I was shooting to make this video. But the first folder, so I did a couple different flights. But this one right here, the first one was flown at 200 feet AGL. And I think I had a speed of 10 miles per hour was the flight speed. So I'm going to select this folder, hit select. Now, for you guys that might be familiar with DJI Terra for photogrammetry, when you bring it in, you'll have all your photos that were taken, just like any other photogrammetry software. But in Terra, you will see the base point. So this 1 point is your base location. So we'll have that. And now we're ready to go in and look at our other options. This video we're not going to go in and take a deep dive into the Terra processing itself, because what we're interested in looking at is just the overall horizontal and vertical accuracies right here in this place. Again, the number of episodes may grow as we take kind of a deep dive into the various aspect of the L2. We're even going to have one episode that will be devoted to the settings of the L2 in the field, because there's lots of options there. And then even in this particular instance here, we'll look at all the options. But for today, I am going to choose, it'll ask you, do you want to do point cloud density? I'm going to say percentage, and I want 100% because we're going to take this in to LiDAR 360, and that's where I will do the point cloud classification and look at the overall accuracies of everything after, as far as the verticals go, for the point cloud that's cleaned up and classified by LiDAR 360. So we're going to leave it at 100%, and under here, we're not doing, the only thing I'm going to do is just leave this optimized point cloud. We'll leave that turned on. No smoothing, no classification, dims, or contours to be generated. So that part right there is good. And then under advanced, this is where we're going to choose our output. And so all of my control points that we shot with the robot and the StoneX Basin rover were done in Mississippi West US survey feet. So I'm actually going to pick that, and this has feet US at the end. And then we're in orthometric height, or geoid height, which is this NAVD 88 foot US. So there's that. I do want to generate a LAS file, and so that's it. We're going to go ahead and start the processing. And again, the flight here went from the second field, so right across all the way up to kind of to the edge of the roadway down, and then it covered I guess probably about down to right here somewhere. And so we have a very good variety of ground cover, from very manicured grass to parking lot with stripes to roadway to some grassy areas. I don't know how much of that was covered, to just kind of thick trees with full leaf-on vegetation. So it'll be good to take a look at that and see how we compare. And that's it. So let's get started. I'll pause the video after this, and then we'll come back after the processing is done. Alright, so the processing on this is complete. And actually what I'm doing, I pre-processed this yesterday, so we're going to open up the one that was processed identical, nothing changed, but you'll see up here the date has 5/10. So for the sake of recording and moving right along with this, we're going to use the one that's already done. Now, this is good. We're looking at the RGB version of this. Very good colorization. That part is actually pretty amazing. We can see there's the ditch. Spin around, we had the ditch this way, right? In the video clip, you saw the drone flying through this. When I flew the drone through there, it actually had a little more water than when I flew it with LiDAR. Maybe, no, actually it's probably still has some water in there. Anyway, so there we are looking at the 3D view. Now we can go to, we can look at it in reflectivity, height. But man, I'm just going to tell you, it's actually pretty impressive looking. 200 feet. And you can see we've got nice curbs captured on that. So good curb detail right there. And again, quite a few more episodes to cover, just in depth, more aspects of this. We're going to look at, what's the feasibility of using this thing to capture data, do line work, draw out your curb and gutter and edge of pavement, all that stuff. So we're just gonna over the next month take a look at a lot of details about this. So there's really nothing else to look at here. We are ready to bring this thing into LiDAR 360, I'll bring it in, before we even do that, I'm going to bring it into Global Mapper Pro. We'll just take a quick look there, let you look at the control points and the topo shots and see where they hit there. So first glance already, this is very impressive. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention, I mean you can see the striping, some of the overlap points. I already did a video on, okay, so maybe, let's see, where are you? Oops. Right here. This video goes over processing the L2 LiDAR in LiDAR 360 and Global Mapper Pro. So I already did. I had a guy from Hawaii send a data set, had some questions. I said, well, hey, let me make a video from it. So I went over cleaning up the point cloud in LiDAR 360, so getting rid of some overlapping points and all that good stuff. So that's a good video to watch if you just already have an L2 and want information on cleaning it up. And we're going to cover all this in even more detail as part of this series. So you can check that video out. And yeah, that's really it. So let's we're going to close this out. I'll open up Global Mapper. We'll take a really quick look in there, and then from there we're going to actually move into LiDAR 360, do the ground point classification, and see how everything's shaking out. So I have Global Mapper open, and again, we're just going to take a look at that raw LAS file to just see, well, how does it look before we've done any ground point classifications. How's alignment look? So when the project is generated in DJI Terra, you'll see we have, here's the main project here. Then underneath that we have these folders, and the last file being the LiDARs folder. So I'm going to go to Terra LAS, and voila, here it is. So I'm going to drag this over. We're just going to bring in all the points, right? Alright, so we are going to speed this up and shorten it from maybe 3 minutes down to a couple seconds. And now you see that the processing is done. We're actually looking at this in intensity view, so we're going to go up and switch it. I'm up here in the top left hand corner looking at the RGB colorized point cloud. So again, this is Global Mapper Pro, and if you're going to work with LiDAR data, you really need, want the Global Mapper Pro version. They have Global Mapper Regular and Global Mapper Pro. Very, very good program, especially for the money. You're looking for the Pro version right at $1,500. We carry that, and you can do a lot of work within your point cloud. It's wonderful for generating contours, just a lot of stuff. But many of you guys may already have other software that you can accomplish the same thing. So if you can use it, that's great. No need ever spending money when you don't need to. So anyway, we're looking at the colorized point cloud. Ooh, and so one thing I also did is I flew the P1 on this site. So let's actually bring that in. So go to C. So for reference, we flew the P1, and we'll be able to use that to just look at, well, how does the P1 compare to the LiDAR? Two separate flights, both flown RTK using the same base station. So we're going to be able to take a look and see how they compare. Next thing we want to do is I'm going to bring in the control points, right? So we have all the control points, so let's bring that in. I'm going to skip the first one. Feet and feet. This is Mississippi West. So let's bring that in. So again, what we're looking at is just the raw point cloud straight out of Terra. These are all the control points that I shot. And let's change these dots. Let's go to red dot. Okay. Be a lot easier to see. Man, Good grief, you just don't get any better than that. I mean, these are dead center of these white lines. So let's turn on our, all right, so here we are in the, I mean, if we're going to get down technical, man, I don't even know what we are there, half an inch. These are 4-inch wide lines. So, and again, you can, on these lines, you can always just pick the center, but this is very, very, very good. Here's another one. Again, just wonderful, wonderful. This is on the P1, right? Edge of sidewalk. And you can see there, that is matched up very nicely. Okay. Now let's go back, and this, I went right across this line. Now, let's turn that off, come all the way down. So again, we come in, and we're really good. We are lined up. The alignment on it horizontally is outstanding. This is a target. We can see that target fairly well. I actually shot that one, and it had a topo shoe on it. I didn't have the tip on there. Now let's come over, and here's my Aerologic Solutions painted target. That one right there. So now for the TIFF, we're off on that just a smidge. Okay. And let's turn. We're back on, and looking good here in our triangulation. So actually looking better in LiDAR than I did on the TIFF file. So we are good, looking very good. Now what I'm going to do, this is not ground point classified, right? So we're gonna look, well, first thing we want to look at is, let's look at the thickness of the cloud. So we're going to look at a profile. I'm just going to come across right here. And we're going to measure. Alright, we want to measure up. And you look at the bottom, we're at we have 4 centimeters from top to bottom. I go right here, you look right down here at the very bottom, you got a slope of, I mean, I'm almost vertical, 87 degrees. And the elevation difference from that bottom point, if I'm going to try to get right up even with the, I'm trying to get even with this point. It's the highest point. So if we're going to go, we're at 4.3 centimeters. So thickness wise, the fuzz is very good. Right on just, and this is the best scenario you can get. It's perfectly flat surface. It's not black, it's not white concrete, it's just a gray asphalt that's been there for a while and weathered, so it shows up well. So that part that looks good. So let's close this. So now I just want to check the verticals. We're going to look at our verticals without doing any ground point classification. And so we're going to use the control points we have. We're going to do a 1 foot radius. I'm going to hit OK. Now up here, when you look at this, see where it says 3029? These points are right here within this tree. And that's why you're getting that error, because I have all points loaded. I have not even classified ground. So when it looks around, it's finding points up in the trees, and hence you have this error. Then we have this base 3 temp. This is where I shot a prism. I had a 0 antenna height, so you've got error there. Once we get down into our normal, I guess these points down here, now, some of these, they're going to be in grass. And then when we get into the street down here, the parking lot areas, now we're going from a high of almost a tenth in some areas, again, unclassified points, all the way down to we start getting into 700s, 600s, 5, 4, 3, and we drop all the way down. Topo, this would be just a topo shot. So anything that I shot on a point was labeled GCP. Anything that was just a topo shot for just general elevation comparison started with topo. But I mean, we've got, let's see, are there any points in the grass? 225, 226, 224. 224. So that one's in the ditch. We have, with an unprocessed LiDAR, we come up with 600ths on that. I don't know if there's any of the other topo points down below that were in the field. $225. Well, we even have 227, 228. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this. The bottom line is, for unprocessed points with, we haven't even done the ground points, just looking at the overall points around, I mean, we've got very good residuals there. So that, to me, that is very, very impressive. So anyway, we are going to now move along. I'm going to close this out. We're going to look at LiDAR 360 and do our ground point classification and just go to the next step. Alright, so I have LiDAR 360 open, and we are going to, let's see. So I have, this is the folder, again, right here, these are the 3 folders, then we go to LiDARs, and then Terra LAS, and then this is the last file that was generated, so I'm going to drag this in. And remember, we set this to be, and it's actually already there, so Mississippi West, feet US, and NAVD88, which is GeoID height, so we're good. Matter of fact, I'm even going to go and tell it, so I want to set it that it is GeoID 18, because that's what we're working off of. So I am going to do this one, go to vertical, and it is GeoID 18, okay? So, okay, I'm going to hit apply. Now, we're going to classify the ground points. I'm not even going to, at this point, worry about going through and doing the strip alignment and all of that. We're going to just, I mean, I think, oh, that's going to be good. That, looking at the point cloud, we'll look at it by time. But again, look at the other video I did, and I actually walked through doing a strip alignment and checking everything by flight lines. So look at the other video, but then later in other episodes we will take a deep dive into just the options for processing and cleaning the L2 data sets. But we're going to be able to go in, and what I did is I took only the ground control points, so only GCPs that we have on identifiable marks, which are going to be all these on the crosshairs, on targets, and then even the ones right along the sidewalk. So we'll use those for checking the verticals in here. And so let's do this. Let's do, always turn on EDL, improves viewability. And then we're going to choose, instead of RGB, I want to look at it by GPS time, okay? So now that's when we can come in, and you see, here's our overlap. So when we look through out there and you saw these swaths, here's your overlapping points, and then when you run the strip alignment in LiDAR 360, you can clean up your overlap and get the point cloud just, I guess, a lot cleaner from that standpoint. But now let's take a quick look across the parking lot. We're going to do a 10 centimeter buffer. That's always a good width to look at. And then we're just going to come right across here. Okay. And I'm going to come in, and right over here, this is where we're starting. This is our overlap. Come all the way down. Now you will see right at this very end right here, it's a little thicker. So at the very widest point, you've got green, and then the blue comes down right here. And let's go all the way back out. And we'll come over. Did we get into any of the other colors? No, I just stayed in the green. So again, let's look at the fuzz. Sometimes people want to make that a big deal. So we're working in feet. So we're a little over 1/1500ths or 1/10 of a foot. Okay. So that's our thickness there. It's very good. And again, when you look at your overlap, what you want to see is that nothing there. You know, on the outside edges, we can see it be a little thicker, or it'll be grass. This is the roadway right here. Tenth, okay. All right, looking good there. So now what I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go to terrain, and I'm just going to remove outliers. We'll do that. And then after outliers, I'm going to go ahead and classify ground points, and we're going to look and see how things look as far as the elevations according to the classified ground points. So I'll let this run, and then we'll be back. Alright, so we finished. I've added the point cloud with the outliers removed. Now we're going to go in, and I'm just going to go ahead and just do classify ground points, and we're going to see how it looks. So the max building size, it was 300 feet. So we'll leave it at 100 meters and roll with that. Let's see how it does. We'll come back when it's done. Alright, so we have now finished the ground point classification, and obviously, like in here, some of these building points have been classified as ground, and they're not. I mean, that happens. You have to go and play with the settings. But for right now, so that's for another video. But we want to do our ground checkpoints. Go to statistics. Actually, control point report right here. And we're going to open up our known points. Northing is first. So this should be Y, X, and then Z. That's ID. Okay, we're good there. We don't need to skip anything. Those are just the point names. I'm going to hit apply. And now we only want to look at right here. I only want to look at ground points. Okay, so classification code number 2. That's all we want to look at. I'm going to hit calculate. And here we are right here. So when we look at the ground point classification, Man, this is very good. This is very, very good. Now, this is also in the parking lot. If you can't nail it in a parking lot, it can't be nailed, period. But at least we know in the parking lot, it is, man, that is so tight. 400s, 200s is the highest, 300s, 400s, 100th. Right there, almost 200s, but it's very good. Okay, so that tells us that is good. Now let's actually look at intensity view right here. We'll come on in, and we're going to also we're going to bring those points back in. So this is where, so I'll do control point, and again, and look, for this, I'm actually going to leave both of them because we want to look at horizontal. We already looked at it in Global Mapper, but if you were looking at it in LiDAR 360, for horizontal, I want to leave all of them in. So let's go back, find this one point right here. Again, Y, X, and Z. Hit apply. Now I have to leave this box open or the points will go out. But I mean, look, you can see right here, boom, we're dead center. Go all the way down. And we would want to do this on a bigger test to where we did 10 acres, 50 acres, 100 acres, and we're looking at horizontal over the entire job site. So not just within a very small area. I want to look at horizontal over this whole big area here. Now we're taking check shots up here, over in the corners, down the road. We're taking them everywhere. I mean, the fact is they're probably going to come in very, very tight, but in subsequent videos we're going to look at horizontal over very large areas and see how does the horizontal hold up there. But here in this little small test, man, this is spot on right here. This is you're just, it doesn't need to be any better. This right here is very, very good. So now let's look. We're going to bring all our points. We're going to look at the grass right there. All right, so now let's go back to control. One thing I need to do is I need to make a copy. So this one here, because it has to be a text file for LiDAR 360. Yeah. Okay. All right, now let's bring this in. Right there. Again, this is Y, X, and northern. Apply. And then I also want to only, again, use ground control, or excuse me, ground classified points right there. Now let's hit calculate. Now I still should have taken out like I had a base like where I shot it with 0 antenna height. Those we can have some errors. This right here, this is not it. What I'm interested in is these right here, topo 167 through 172. All right, here we go. 167. We are at a third. Again, this is in feet because we're working in feet. So a third, 169. Right there, that one's 100th, a quarter, a little over a quarter of a foot. So we would have to spend more time. I would want to make sure that I had really good ground points in the grass. I picked some of the thickest points of grass that I could find and took a shot. So we will take a deep dive and look at classifying ground points. I'm going to do more in the way of getting rid of overlapping points, and we will look and see, okay, how good are our ground points in this really thick, heavy grass, because that becomes something that's very important. If you're going to shoot a field that's very thick grass, a lot of rolling, the terrain is itself rolling, and very thick grass, we want to see how accurate can we get classified ground points in that type of ground cover and in various terrains. And I would say that a tenth, if you're within a tenth in those types of situations, you're actually doing pretty good. Here we're at a third, so this 172 is the last one there. I mean, that's a foot there. That's a full foot. This is a half, quarter, a hundredth. I don't know why that one. It might just be open ground. A third, 166 right there, 300ths, and then 165, 300ths. So let's go, and again, we're right here at 165 is in. This is relatively, it's not manicured grass, but it was in shorter grass. So, well, actually it is. See this right here? This is just normal cut grass. It's not manicured like the soccer field, but it's much shorter. Then once we hit this 167, that is when we get into the very tall grass. And of course, I mean, that's where we're at a third. That one happened to be, that's a hundredth, a quarter. So anyway, that's we'll have to take a deeper look and look at the way we're flying this and get into a total field coverage and fly the whole thing and subsample a small portion of that with the robot and GNSS to compare and look what are our accuracies. But man, when you look at the let me close this. When we look at the horizontal accuracy, the verticals out here, it is capable, and it is very, very accurate. What we need to take a much deeper look into is look at in the real world scenarios in these fields of heavy grass and see how does it pan out. So we're going to have more of these episodes following, and there should be some really, really good information, good helpful information. And I'm going to show you what it is, and we're going to lay it out. I'm not going to hide anything. I'm just going to show you this is what it's capable of. What I can see right here is out here in the parking lot and the fields, man, it is awesome. Roadways, awesome. And so we're going to do a lot more jobs out in the challenging areas and just let you know, hey, here's what we can get out of it. So if this video has been helpful, give me a thumbs up. Be sure and subscribe, because there's going to be quite a few more episodes in this series to follow. Well, again, thank you so much for watching. Be sure and let us know if you have suggestions. Remember, dronemappingtools.com, your one source for drones, LiDAR, survey equipment, and all things mapping. We'll see you in the next video.